Hey everybody, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, and I have one of the DungeonSwag turtle people. The turtle men, I don't know what you call those, turtleizes. And I thought I would paint one up. So I'm going to use this Absolution Green for the body because I think it might look nice. Now, the secret weapon here is my disposable palette, aka masking tape. Should have had another cup of coffee. So I don't know if Absolution Green was the right choice, but let's hope it was. So what we really want to focus on is the chest, the flesh, I mean, not the chest. I'm not sure what all this hangy downy decorative crap's supposed to be. But we can always come back and figure that out later. He's pretty muscular. Homeboy's ripped up. I'm not going to worry about the all the little details on the arms and stuff. If I get them green, I'm going to come back and paint those with non-speed paint anyways. So I don't think it'll hurt too much. Just getting the skin done real fast in the speed paint. Just to get them a good vibrant color. I'm not sure if he's wearing pants or not, or how that's supposed to be. Suppose I should have looked at some kind of reference art then, huh? Well, I didn't. And that's okay. If I get it on the spots where there's clothes and stuff, like I said, I'm going to come back over and do those with regular paint, so it's not going to be the end of the world, okay? Only thing I plan on doing with the speed paint is the shell and the flesh. I got all the flesh. I can't really tell. Get in there and get around the buttocks a little better. Kind of bottom of that hand. I think we got the feet pretty well covered. All right. Now let's get the shell. I want to do that in a brown. I'm going to use this satchel brown. Satchel brown. That's a cool sounding color. I'm not sure how dark that is. I'm not even sure if I think I opened this. Yeah, I used it once at least. Oh, it's a good color too. It's dark. Let's get it in there nice and good on this back part so it can really do its speed painty job. And get in the crevices. And then we'll come back on that top shell part and lighten it up later. Okay. So we'll hit that 2 for now, that like shield top shell thing there, whatever it is, and then we'll lighten that up when it's dry. Sweet. Now that inside I'm not going to do with the speed paint either, so we can ignore that for now. All right, for clothes, I want to do something kind of purpley, but I don't want it to be like annoying purple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this really dark Admiral Blue and base coat that, and then come back over it with the purple. And this is just craft paint I'm using here for this undercoat. And if you're over worried about any white that you've left behind or is exposed in some of the cracks, don't sweat that, because we'll just hit this with a wash when we're done and tie everything together and hopefully hide some of that kind of mistakes. Make sure you get a good coat on there so that it's noticeable and it looks nice and dark. Okay. You want to make sure you get underneath here. You want to not get it on the flesh and the shell, so just take your time there. Be easy. See, I got a little bit on the shell, but that's okay. We'll come back and paint over that brown anyways. So that's going to be all the purple stuff on him, except for his mask. We're going to be real careful on the mask. And these little hangy-downy things. What are these little hangy-downy things? I just don't know. Not sure what they are. Okay. And that's shown me some more flesh that needs dealt with. And that's okay. We'll figure that out in a minute. I'm going to wash that brush. I'm going to hit him with the air gun. Then I'm going to go back in on those greens that I need to touch up. I'm just going to use my brush here and get a little bit of that green. I'm going to go back in and find spots I missed in the flesh. They're going to be contrasting, or spots that just need to be a little better hit. Maybe there's not a whole lot of white shown, but enough that I'm worried it's going to be a problem down the road. Okay. I think that's all I saw for now, but we can always come back to that. All right, so I'm going to get an off-white color. This is like a beige skeleton bone. It's very light. And I'm going to use this to do all the horns and all his bandages and those bands that go around his wrists and shoulders and arms and stuff. All that kind of crap. So let's get a little bit of that right there. And that should be enough to do all this, I'm hoping. So let's try to get all these little horns and crap in that color. Let's make sure there's no blue on those, because we don't want the blue showing through on those if we can help it. And if we can't help it, we can't help it. Sometimes painting a miniature like this is probably one that you should spend 5 hours on, because this is such a cool mini. But I just don't have that kind of commitment, and my hand shakes too bad for the detail work that I usually hit. So we're going to do just a bunch of really cheap techniques to get it where I want it. For example, we're just doing one base coat over all these straps, like that. And we're going to come back with a dry brush and then use the wash to show us all the detail we want on those. I got a little bit of flesh covered with it there, just a little bit. So we're going to just create the illusion that that is part of it. Okay. And hope that my wash does the job. Need a little bit of water in my brush. It's getting, the paint's just not thin enough to coat well. My paint water has the splash of Dawn dish liquid in it too, which kind of helps me get some flow out of my paint. See how we're just nailing it around the edges there. And letting it just kind of fill in the middle the best we can. And we're not going for perfection. Because if you go for perfection on something like this, oops, every little mistake you make will become highly visible. But if you make it look like there's no perfect lines and no perfect existence of the continuity of where like clothing and stuff are, it won't be as bad. It's all about illusion when it comes to painting, really, isn't it? A little bit more water. You don't want to go too thick because we don't want to lose detail. You just want enough coverage to change the colors. Let's come back and hit these spikes a little bit better there. Hit these bandages a little better there. There we go. All right. Now let's lighten up this backpack situation here, this shield back here thing. And to do that, I'm just dragging my paint across the top of that, kind of in a dry brush. I mean, my paintbrush isn't completely dry, but I'm just catching that to make that look like it's a different thing. And then I'm going to get back in here on these little fins. I'm just hitting those little fin areas on the inside of the shell lightly. And the wash will darken in the gaps behind them. Okay. Now, let's get a small brush and do the straps. Oh, my hands are shaking really bad. Makes it tough. My hands always shook. I just didn't have like true trimmers like I do now. The trimmers make it really unbearable. He's got spikes on his knees, I just noticed too. That's sucky of the butt. All right. Now he's got this weird decoration around his neck. We're just going to hit it with this and color it in and hope that the wash will be enough to make it do what I want. He's got a little tuft of hair up here. What is this color here? Brown. We're going to use this brown on that. We're going to do the whole thing. It's going to look like a bun. A turtle bun. Okay. We're going to use that brown on the staff that we used on the shell, and then we'll come back and lighten that up. And then another step. There we go. Something like that. And then for his lantern thing there, I'm just going to get this hideous greedy gold color that I hate. I'm going to give it a sort of a good coating, but not really perfect. With different varied amounts of paint covering it and not covering it. Okay. So I'm going to, in some spots, let it be kind of thick and just drag it around in other spots is basically what I'm doing. So it have some natural variation and everything. Okay. Let's get a little stick for it, the little handle piece. There we go. Now I'm going to come back with that gold. And there are some rings on the back of his shell. I'm just going to drag those real quick with that gold to lighten those up. And there are some little things on his straps, and I'm just going to tap those with the gold. I'm not putting an enormous amount of detail on those because they're tiny. So I'm just touching them with the gold so the gold sticks. All right, there's one little thing I need to do. I got some of the skin. Well, there's two things I need to do. One is I got some of the skin, and then I had those spikes on the knees that I missed. I'm going to hit those spikes on the knees. And those don't have to be perfect. You just want to get them tan. And you're probably thinking, wow, doing this looks like a kid painted it. I know it does. Just give me a second. Then I'm going to get my green again. I'm going to do a little bit of touch-up work there under the spike, onto the flesh of the body there. Okay. Now we're going to dry them off really good with hot air. We haven't done the purple yet, I know. do the purple in a minute. You just wait. I got a piece of plastic lid here from some sort thing. I'm going to fill that up with military tone, if I can find it, military shader. Army Painter Quick Shade Military Shader. We'll get that. We'll get a cheapy synthetic brush. And we're going to hit them all with this. Make sure you get it really good in those cracks in the back there too. Okay. Down in those grooves where the fins were on the inside of the shell. And you don't want to come back to the same spots again if you can avoid it, because you might reactivate something you've painted and create a bleed effect like I just did there on the leg. Okay. I think I got them all. Let's bring the camera up and hit him with the hot air gun. Now, he's not going to be completely dry, but he is going to be able to do what we want with this purple. So let's get this alien purple shaken up. You could use any kind of craft paint purple you like too, but I think with mixing, taking a chance after using that wash, or not wash, that shader, I'd be afraid to use a craft paint. But I think this paint can do what I want. Oh, shit. That's a lot of paint. You'll have that from time to time. All right. So... the goal is to drag that purple in and kind of blend it around while we still can. We don't want to hit every little square inch. We just want to make it look purple and leave that dark blue as the kind of undercoat. Because purple can be a very annoying color. It can be a very obnoxious color. So if we can just be real careful with our purple, we can make him look purple, but not in such a way that it's obnoxious. Look at that. Just take your time. Get that purple on top of that blue. Doesn't have to be perfect either. Now on my face mask, I'm going to be extra careful. And on this little weird hangy downy things, be extra careful. Okay. Back here in these little spots, I would be, you could probably even leave those without doing them and no one would really catch it. So there is, just going to drag a little bit of that around where there's a little bit thicker of the purple. Now he's purple, like any kind of turtle you might recognize. Now, I had some white here, but it dried up. Let me get a little bit of off-white. Just a little bit. Got some mummy robes. I'm going to get a very small synthetic brush. That means plastic bristled. Just like this. Okay. And we're going to do some really light touch-ups on the bandages. We're just dragging that across, hitting some of the higher areas or any areas where we might have got a little bit of green we didn't want. We're just lightening these up a tiny bit to make them more noticeable. But we're not trying to use it to add an enormous amount of detail. We're using this more so to cover up mistakes. Doesn't look like a little kid's paint job anymore, huh? Looks a little better, doesn't it? Not much better, though. A little weird shit on his neck there. We're going to lighten that up, too. I'm not sure what it is. I drag it on this piece here. I'm not sure what that is. And I'm going to hit the edges of these little horns just a little bit. And the ones on his knees just a little bit. Now let's get that beige. Let's lighten up that shield again a little bit more. I think it's a shield. Let's just lighten it up, whatever it is. Okay. Now for his staff, we're just going to get like a monster brown and lighten that up. We're just going to use that same brush because we're not going to kill ourselves on it. Okay. I'm also going to hit my lantern with that a little bit. And we're going to take a lot of that off. We're going to go around the outside edge of that shell and just drag it around to create kind of like the edge of the shell is lighter, maybe a little more worn. And when there's almost no paint left on the brush, we're just going to drag it across the shell some. Now let's get that base done and decide if we're going to even try to do eyes. For the base, I'm getting dark brown, burnt umber, craft paint. I'm going to paint the base as quickly as I can. Probably should have done this in sand instead of dirt. That's okay. I would like my beach people, my turtle people to live on the edge of oceans and lakes and stuff, so this guy can be at the edge of a lake. That's fine. Try not to hit the rocks that you put on the base if you put any. I put a couple on mine just to give it a little more 3D-ishness. Sometimes apologizing to your friends is the hardest thing on earth to do. Especially if you don't feel like you're 100% in the right or wrong. You feel like both of you might be wrong, but you like, there's like a pride component where you're like, I don't want to apologize. But shit just goes on for too long and you're like, should I just apologize? Like, I don't know. And then it stresses you out, and like, then you like, so you're having any other kind of like drama in your life too. It just doesn't help. And that's where I'm at right now. This is a very watered down pavement. And I'm going to get it a little bit more watered down than that. Drag it around there. And I'm just going to hit my rocks with that. I got a little bit of brown touching them. And that's okay. I'm going to do this the easy way. Just like that. Let's hot air gun this feller. And call it a win. I am going to put a little bit of flock on the base. And to do that, I'm just going to get a toothpick and some clear glue. just going to get some of that and rub it around and use the edge of that toothpick to kind of make it not look perfect. Okay. I'm just going to use this beautiful flock I got right here. Just like this. Something like that. All right, anyways, my name's Doom. This has been Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, painting DungeonSwag Donatello turtle. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon, and all that happy crappy. And leave a comment. That's a big one, yeah. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.